A baby girl has become the first child in the UK to be born to a mother using a transplanted womb. Grace Davidson, who was born without a viable womb, received the transplant from her older sister, Amy.
I just knew that there was just such a longing in me to carry my own baby and to have that with me and Angus, to go through a pregnancy and to know her from like the earliest moment. And it's like an innate thing. I just couldn't satisfy that through other ways, and yeah, it's just brought me immense joy.
The Davidsons were able to have the transplant through the support of the charity Womb Transplant UK. The NHS Trust said the baby's birth was the culmination of more than 25 years of research into womb transplantation. More than 100 womb transplants have been reported worldwide, with more than 50 healthy deliveries so far. The first birth was reported in Sweden in 2014. The procedure could make it possible for more women without uteruses to deliver their own babies rather than relying on surrogacy or adoption.
President Donald Trump is planning a massive military parade on June 14th, marking the Army's 250th anniversary, along with his 79th birthday. The plan first reported by the Washington City paper and confirmed by a senior administration official. The parade will reportedly stretch 4 miles from the Pentagon to Arlington, Virginia, to the White House. An Army official acknowledged the length, but tells The Hill nothing is yet solidified. The official offered limited details, but says the Army plans to celebrate its 250th anniversary with a robust capability increase in what you would see in previous years. The Hill reports plans began last year and grew with the number of units participating increasing. D.C.'s local government is involved in logistical planning as Army and city engineers reportedly conduct route reconnaissance. This isn't Trump's first attempt at a military parade. In 2018, he planned a large-scale parade during his first term after being inspired by a French Bastille Day event. He reportedly told French President Emmanuel Macron during the ceremony, "We're going to have to try to top it." The event, however, was scrapped after defense officials said it would cost $92 million, and after criticism both publicly and privately from those within the first Trump administration. D.C. officials also raised concerns heavy military equipment would damage roads and cost the city millions for security measures. This year's reported parade also faces a tight window, with June 14th less than 10 weeks away. For more on this,
a scramble for food in Gaza. Women, children and men stampede for bread rations donated by a charity. As the enclave's food stocks continue to deplete, concerns about a potential famine outbreak have been growing. For 37 days, Israel has blocked the entry of any form of aid into the territory. And now the United Nations is sounding an alarm.
Top officials from a number of UN agencies, notably OCHA, the World Food Programme, UNRWA, UNICEF and UNOPS, issued a statement a short while ago calling on the world to react with urgency to save Palestinians in Gaza. The UN officials noted that for over a month, no commercial or humanitarian supplies have entered Gaza, and more than 2.1 million people are trapped, bombed, and starved again. Food, medicine, fuel, shelter supplies are piling up at crossing points, and vital equipment is also stuck. Although the latest ceasefire allowed humanitarians to see that supplies reached every part of the Gaza Strip, they said that assertions that there is now enough food for all of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip are far from the reality on the ground.
Israel resumed its full-scale bombing of Gaza on March 18th, breaking a ceasefire with Hamas.
South Korea's military fired warning shots after 10 North Korean soldiers crossed the border into South Korea. South Korean officials say the soldiers violated the military demarcation line. They say that the soldiers all returned to the north side of the border after the South made warning broadcasts and fired shots. The 155-mile-long DMZ is the world's most heavily armed border, protected by mines, tanks, traps, combat troops on both sides. The motive for today's border crossing by the north, not immediately clear.
At least 33 people were killed and more than 150 others were injured after a roof collapsed at a popular nightclub in Dominican Republic's capital, Santo Domingo. Governor of the northern Monte Cristi province is also among those killed in the tragedy. The incident took place in the wee hours of Tuesday morning during a concert at the Jet Set nightclub in Santo Domingo. The eyewitnesses say that the roof collapsed almost an hour after the concert began a little before midnight.
Is still to save lives, which is what they're doing. Since last night, we've been following minute by minute this tragedy, so that all the resources government emergency institutions can be available as they have been. But we still have a way to go. We have trust in God that we will still rescue more alive from these ruins.
The authorities are yet to give a tally for the number of people believed to be trapped inside the nightclub.
We are concentrating in getting the people out, being able to rescue them, the people who are alive to take them to different hospitals. Later, we will provide preliminary information of what took place here in terms of victims, both those alive and those dead.
While the reason for the roof collapse is not yet clear, rescue operations are underway to pull out those stuck under rubble.
At least 44 people died and 160 others were injured in the Dominican capital early Tuesday when the roof collapsed at an iconic nightclub where politicians, athletes and others were attending a merengue concert, according to authorities. President Luis Abinader arrived at the scene and met those who were looking for friends and family, some with tears streaming down their faces. The main objective is still to save lives. Save more lives, which is they are doing. Since last night, we've been following minute by minute this tragedy so that all the resources, government emergencies, institutions can be available as they have been, but we still have a way to go. We have trust in God that we will still rescue more lives from these ruins. Nelcy Cruz, the governor of the northwestern province of Monte Cristi and sister of seven-time Major League Baseball All-Star Nelson Cruz, was among the victims. It wasn't immediately clear what caused the roof to collapse.
Por favor, brindemos un fuerte aplauso.
And today, the Panama Canal faces ongoing threats. The United States of America will not allow communist China or any other country to threaten the canal's operation or integrity. To this end, the United States and Panama have done more in recent weeks to strengthen our defense and security cooperation than we have in decades. China-based companies continue to control critical infrastructure. This makes Panama and the United States less secure, less prosperous, and less sovereign. China did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal. And China will not weaponize this canal. Together with Panama in the lead, we will keep the canal secure and available for all nations through the deterrent power of the strongest, most effective, and most lethal fighting force in the world.
Welcome back. Well, let's return now to that breaking news from the United States, where Donald Trump has slapped 104% tariffs on China, escalating his trade war with the world's second largest economy.
This story keeps on getting bigger, doesn't it? Let's go live to Nine's US correspondent Lauren Tomas here, who joins us outside the White House. Hey, Lauren. Look, fears are now being stoked of a global recession.
Colin, Sarah, there was already so much uncertainty after Donald Trump imposed these sweeping tariffs. Today, his dramatic escalation on China is only intensifying that. 104% being imposed on Beijing. That will come into effect from midnight here in Washington. It's only a matter of hours away when the US will start collecting on that tariff, and it will apply to all Chinese imports into the US. Such a big move by Donald Trump. Yesterday, he was threatening threatening Beijing, saying if they didn't remove their own retaliatory tariffs against the US, then this was going to happen. Today he has acted on it, and China is not happy, saying it will fight this to the end, saying America is bullying and blackmailing. But Donald Trump really doesn't seem too worried. In fact, he has been mocking Beijing on social media today. In one post he said China also wants to make a deal badly. They don't know how to get it started. We are waiting for their call. It will happen. So look, while these most extreme tariffs are being placed on China, we know that it's not just China. These sweeping reciprocal tariffs coming into effect from midnight. And the Trump administration says countries right around the world are lining up to make a deal. Here's that White House press secretary. Take a look.
Bring us your best offers, and he will listen. President Trump has a spine of steel, and he will not break. And America will not break under his leadership.
Yeah, there is so much uncertainty stoked by this. Trump's top trade official has also been grilled in the Senate, Lauren, and Australia was mentioned.
Yeah, this has been really interesting. So this has been before Senate this morning, a lot of questions about how Donald Trump's tariff plan will work. We know that Australia is being imposed with that 10% levy. It is the baseline that Donald Trump rolled out. But of course, Australia and the US have had a free trade agreement since 2005. It was signed between Howard and Bush, in place for so long, and America is our oldest ally. That has really come up in these questions when that trade representative has been asked, you know, why are we imposing these tariffs on Australia? We know that there has been a lot of beef in specific with our beef, but I want to show you a bit of the exchange that unfolded there before Congress today.
Senator, Australia has the lowest rate available under the new program. They ban imports of American beef.
Ambassador, excuse me. There is a trade. We already have a free trade agreement. We have a trade surplus. So getting the least bad, why did they get whacked in the first place?
So there are some Americans, congressmen in the US Senate standing up for Australia, but as whether or not Donald Trump will budge on us, that is yet to be known. A lot of uncertainty for our exporters. Today, the Department of Foreign Affairs will hold a bit of a Q&A for our exporters, along with Austrade, Department of Agriculture, Department of Fisheries, because so many people are just questioning what happens next.
Well, I'll see what happens out of that.
Yeah.
Can't imagine a lot.
No.
Good on you, Lauren. Thank you so much.
美方滥施关税，严重侵犯各国的正当权益，严重违反世界贸易组织规则，严重损害以规则为基础的多边贸易体制，严重冲击全球的经济秩序稳定，是典型的单边主义、保护主义经济霸凌，遭到国际社会普遍反对。中方对此强烈谴责，坚决反对。中国人不惹事，也不怕事。施压、威胁和讹诈不是同中方打交道的正确方式。中方必将采取必要措施，坚决维护自身正当合法权益。如果美方置两国和国际社会的利益于不顾，执意打关税战、贸易战，中方必将奉陪到底。
Japan's benchmark stock index plunged on Monday as investors in Tokyo unloaded shares across the board. Equity markets around the world remain shaken by the tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. Our business correspondent Amma Reimu reports from the Tokyo Stock Exchange.
Investors around the world are growing risk-averse, and selling is causing more selling in a vicious cycle here. Trump's rollout of what he called reciprocal tariffs and China's announcement of counter-tariffs have left the market reeling. Tokyo's Nikkei 225 extended its sharp decline at the start of the week. The index briefly dropped more than 2,900 points, or nearly 9%. The benchmark ended sharply lower for the third straight trading day, closing at 31,136, down 2,644 points, or 7.8%. That's its third biggest single day drop.
I'm totally disappointed. I want the Japanese government to have a stronger stance toward the US and make its position clear.
I need to wait and see how far the index falls and how far it comes back. It would be a mistake to panic.
Fears of a possible trade war are now gripping investors around the world, with stock markets heading into free fall from one place to another. Key indexes in Asia declined sharply across the board. Market sources say investors are growing more aware of the risk of a global recession amid moves by countries and regions to consider measures to counter U.S. tariffs.
From Belgian chocolate to Peruvian grapes and Thai rice to Spanish olive oil, shoppers in the United States are stocking up on imported goods, hoping to save money in case tariff costs are passed on to consumers. This Costco customer says he came to buy his favorite products.
Coffee from Colombia. The olive oil, I'm not sure where it's from. I would guess either Spain or Italy, but the wine for sure. The macarons are product of France.
With the tariffs, he fears for the state of the U.S. economy.
Will hurt American consumers, hurt American farmers, hurt American exporters. One of the most stupid public policy things I've seen.
In this shopping centre, people have also come to buy clothes. Most of them are made in Asia and particularly China, which could now face a 104% levy on goods exported to the U.S.
I bought some jeans for my daughter. I'm trying to hurry up and get as much as I can as far as basic necessities, things that we need.
A 25% tariff on imports of cars and certain auto parts has also hurried along some that were looking to buy a new car.
Everybody's saying that the prices on automobiles are going to go up.
We thought we better come now.
Of course, not all shoppers are changing their habits. Supporters of the measures say they have faith the tariffs will bring long-term benefits like bringing more jobs to the US. However, in the immediate term, uncertainty lingers over how the measures might affect Americans' daily lives.
And we end today with Venezuela. The country is back on high alert after facing repeated economic turmoil over the years. President Nicolas Maduro has declared a state of economic emergency, and he's blaming the U.S. tariffs and President Trump for destabilizing the country. Washington's tariff target nations importing Venezuelan oil, and President Maduro says the move is an assault on its financial stability. Now his government is scrambling to deal with President Trump's actions. Our final report has the latest.
Venezuela is facing economic pressure once again. After years of economic turmoil due to sanctions and inflation, the country is crumbling again. This time due to new U.S. tariffs unveiled by Donald Trump.
So, if you look at that,
President Nicolas Maduro has declared a state of economic emergency. Blaming the U.S., he said, Trump's tariffs are designed to bring the world to its knees and force countries to surrender to its dominance.
What
is happening is not due to natural causes, but to geopolitical causes. The desire, the ambition to dominate and surrender and sanction the world. They are sanctioning the world to surrender it to their feet.
At the center of the storm is oil, the lifeline of Venezuela's economy. On March 24th, the U.S. imposed tariffs on countries that imported Venezuela crude. It affected major importers like India, China, and Spain. It was part of an executive order signed by Trump and was intended to pressure buyers to cut ties with Venezuela's oil industry. And to contain this damage, Maduro has now invoked his constitutional powers.
This is a declaration of economic emergency where I assume special functions, constitutionally extraordinary to advance in defense of Venezuela's economy, in its impulse and development, and have all instruments, of which we have consensus with all productive sectors of the country. We will explain step by step how we come out on top, just as we did in 2016, as we did in the pandemic.
This is a scene that feels eerily similar. Maduro's mention of 2016 is a reminder of the last time his government declared an economic emergency. The South American nation was already in freefall that year. 2015 had been brutal. Oil prices crashed, inflation surged and food shortages worsened. But what followed was a total economic breakdown. Prices surged uncontrollably as Venezuela's currency collapsed. Basic essentials disappeared from stores. Everyday products were being sold at the prices of luxurious items. And hospitals ran out of supplies and medical care. The desperation led to protests, supermarket raids and clashes. As the riots erupted, Maduro expanded his military power and put the military in charge of food distribution. The world watched as Venezuela spiraled further downward. Maduro often blames economic struggles on sanctions by Washington. The US and other countries have accused his government of corruption, human rights abuses, and rigging elections to stay in power. The foreign sanctions aim to freeze Venezuelan assets abroad and limit its access to international banking. Later, these sanctions expanded. They targeted Venezuela's state-run oil sector, further squeezing the economy. So the current situation isn't uncharted territory for Maduro. With another emergency order and another call to shield the country, history seems to be repeating itself. It is the same script and the same players, but the stakes even higher. The question isn't whether Venezuela can survive this chaos, but will it ever break free from the cycle?
Yeah. There goes our house.
Miren, miren, cabal, ahorita lo
agarraste.
Ah, lo agarré cabal. Qué espectacular. Ah. Está bravo. Sí. ¿Cómo se ve? Mira la onda de choque abajo, mira.